welcome back to English Alongway, the podcast where real conversations meet real English. I'm Elina.
And I'm Marcus. And yes, we're back, and we are very happy to see you.
Okay, so today's episode, it's one of those ones I've been thinking about for a while.
It's not a light topic. We'll be real about that up front.
Right, because if you've opened any kind of news app lately, or honestly just scrolled for 2 minutes, you know what we mean. The world can feel pretty heavy right now.
Tense, loud, like everyone's turned up the volume on their anger.
And underneath all that noise, there's this question that I think a lot of people quietly carry with them, which is peace even possible? Can the world actually live without war?
Yeah, big one.
Huge, and we're not going to pretend we have all the answers. But what we can do is talk about it honestly, learn some powerful B2 English along the way, and hopefully leave this conversation feeling a little more grounded.
Not more stressed. That's the goal.
That is 100% the goal. Okay, before we dive in, quick favor. If English Alongway has been useful to you, drop a like and subscribe. It genuinely means the world to us, and it helps more learners find the show.
And leave a comment. We actually read them. We love hearing from you.
We really do. All right, let's do a quick check-in first. Marcus, honest answer. When the world gets overwhelming, what is your go-to reset?
Okay, don't make fun of me. I reorganize my bookshelf.
Your bookshelf?
I can't fix geopolitics, but I can put my books in alphabetical order and feel like a functioning human again. What about you?
Mine is a walk. Phone in my pocket, not in my hand. Just sky, air, movement. Even 15 minutes and I feel like a different person.
Ooh, I should try that. Okay, listeners, what's your reset? Tell us in the comments. Seriously. Now, let's get into it. So, Elina, when somebody says world peace, what image comes to your mind?
Honestly, a poster. Like a white dove, maybe a rainbow in the background, children holding hands.
Yes, it sounds like a slogan, not a real thing.
Right. It feels massive, like something only world leaders in a fancy conference room can deal with, not something you and I have anything to do with.
But here's what I think is actually interesting. There's two kinds of peace, and one of them is completely in our hands.
Ooh, yes. Say that again.
There's macro peace, the big stuff. Agreements between countries, international law, diplomacy, and then micro peace, the daily kind. How you respond to a rude comment, how you talk to someone you disagree with, whether you choose to share something angry on social media or not.
And the micro kind is where most of us actually live.
Exactly. And honestly, the macro and micro are connected. Big wars don't start in the vacuum. They grow from years and years of small hatreds that nobody stopped.
You know what really gets me? Most people, ordinary people, civilians, they genuinely don't want war. Like, nobody wakes up in the morning thinking, you know what, I really want conflict today.
They wake up thinking, I hope my family is okay. I hope I have a job tomorrow. I hope today is just normal.
And that's the thing about peace that we sometimes forget. A boring, uneventful Tuesday is actually a privilege. When the hardest question of your day is, what should I cook for dinner tonight? That's actually a good life.
Yeah. You only really understand that when you see people who don't have that. People in conflict zones who'd give anything for a boring Tuesday.
And it's a lot to sit with, but it matters because it reminds us what we're actually talking about when we talk about peace. We're talking about the right for ordinary people to have ordinary lives.
Okay, I want to go somewhere that I think is important and maybe a little uncomfortable.
Go for it.
So, we've had thousands of years of human history, and in all that time, we've had wars. Lots of them. World wars, civil wars, proxy wars, cold wars, trade wars, every kind. And the question I keep coming back to is, what did any of them actually solve, long term?
That's a question that hits hard.
Because the honest answer is not much. Not in the way that lasts. You end one war and somewhere else another one starts. The borders change, but the bitterness stays.
Right, and we often hear this argument, sometimes war is necessary. And I understand why people say that. There are moments in history where people had to fight for their survival, where they had no choice.
Absolutely. I don't think we can pretend history is simple, but here's the difference. There's a gap between people were forced to defend themselves and war is a good strategy for solving problems.
War is not a solution. It might end a conflict for a while, but it never, ever heals what started it.
Think about it this way. Every war in history has left behind what? Grief. Broken families, destroyed cities, generational trauma, children growing up without parents, whole communities wiped off the map.
And for what? Territory that gets disputed again 20 years later? Power for a government that changes anyway?
The cost is always paid by civilians, by regular people, not by the ones who decided to start the conflict. They're in safe rooms making decisions. It's families, students, workers, children who lose everything.
And that's what makes it so maddening. The people who have the least say in whether a war happens are the ones who suffer the most from it.
History proves this over and over. The First World War, millions of ordinary people died because of the political calculations of a handful of leaders. The Second World War, entire generations erased, decades of rebuilding, wounds that still haven't fully healed.
And if you zoom out even further, colonialism, invasions, occupations, the pattern is always the same. Those in power gain something, at least for a while. Civilians lose everything, often forever.
So, when people say war is inevitable, I'd push back on that. War is a choice. It's a failure of every other option. It means diplomacy broke down or was never really tried. It means we decided that human lives were less valuable than whatever was being fought over.
And that is never, ever an acceptable trade.
Peace isn't weakness either. That's something I feel really strongly about. There's this idea that choosing dialogue, choosing negotiation, choosing to find common ground, that it's somehow soft or naive.
No, peace takes more courage than war. Anyone can pick up a weapon. It takes real strength to sit across from someone you disagree with, listen to them, and try to find a way forward together.
Desmond Tutu said something once, that there is no future without forgiveness. And I think about that a lot, because the countries that have actually moved past devastating conflicts, they didn't do it by winning harder. They did it by choosing, very deliberately, to stop.
Warmy gently to listeners. And I think that's something all of us can carry in our daily lives too. Even in small conflicts, in our families, our workplaces, online. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, what am I actually trying to protect here? Is it worth the damage?
Usually, the answer is no. Usually, the thing we're fighting about isn't worth the cost the fight costs us.
So war at any scale, from international conflict to a comment section argument, is almost never the answer. Peace isn't just beautiful. Peace is the only real, lasting solution we've ever found.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture. Let's zoom in a bit, because conflict doesn't just appear, right? It climbs.
Like a ladder, step by step.
Exactly. And understanding those steps is actually really useful, both for the world out there and for our own lives. So first step?
Prejudice. And that's one of our key words today. Prejudice means forming an opinion about someone before you actually know them, based on their group, their religion, their nationality, their accent, whatever.
You hear one story or maybe just a stereotype, and suddenly, all people like that are like this. Done. Decided.
And the scary thing is how automatic it is. Our brains are wired to categorize. It saves energy, but it also leads us badly astray.
And if that prejudice isn't questioned, if we just let it sit there, it hardens into something worse.
Intolerance, which is more than just disagreeing with someone. It's they shouldn't even exist that way. It's this deep refusal to accept that other people can live or believe differently.
Not just intolerance, but adding to that, the active hostility.
And that's the moment things start getting really dangerous, because once you stop seeing someone as human, once they become them, the enemy, the other, it becomes easier to accept their suffering.
And that's how you fuel the fire. That's one of our key words today, by the way.
Ooh, yes, say it with us.
Fuel the fire.
To make a bad situation worse, like literally throwing more wood onto a fire that's already burning.
And we do this without thinking. We share a shocking video before checking if it's even true. We post something furious at midnight when we're exhausted. We enjoy watching our side win an argument.
And every time, we're not just venting, we're feeding the conflict, making it bigger.
And then there's the other failure mode, when we see something wrong and we look away.
Turn a blind eye.
Turn a blind eye.
Pretending you don't see something because it's easier not to deal with it.
And I totally understand why people do it. People are tired, afraid of drama, don't want to become a target themselves.
But silence isn't neutral. Silence lets injustice grow. If everyone turns a blind eye, the people being hurt have no one speaking up for them.
And unchecked hostility plus silence eventually leads to oppression, which is our next key word.
Oppression, cruel, unfair treatment, usually by those who hold power, against people who have less of it. No voice, no rights, constant fear.
And again, civilians carry that weight, not the decision makers, real people, families, whole communities.
And when fear and humiliation go on long enough, that's also how radicalization happens. People start believing extreme ideas are the only answer left, that violence is the only language that works.
And that's extremism, when beliefs become so absolute, so rigid, that there's no room for balance, for listening, for basic human decency.
Extremism promises simple answers. It's all their fault. Get rid of them and everything's fixed. But the world has never, not once, been that simple.
Those simple answers only create more cycles of pain.
But here's the thing. If hate can grow step by step, so can peace.
Okay, this is the part that I personally love, because this is where it gets real and practical.
Right, because talking about big global problems can feel paralyzing if we don't also talk about what we can actually do.
So, what does peace look like at the everyday level?
It looks like listening before you respond, not planning your comeback while the other person is still talking, actually hearing them.
It looks like saying, I don't agree with you, but I'm not going to attack you.
Or, I don't know enough about this yet to judge.
Which takes more self-awareness than most people give themselves credit for.
And when there's already damage done, when trust is broken and people are hurting, peace looks like reconciliation.
Reconciliation. Say it with us.
Reconciliation.
The process of rebuilding trust and calm after something painful.
And I want to be clear, reconciliation is not pretending nothing happened.
It's not, let's just move on. That's not peace, that's just suppression.
Exactly. Reconciliation means acknowledging the hurt and then choosing, consciously, deliberately, not to repeat it, not to pass it on.
And that starts small. A family disagreement that finally gets talked through. A friendship that almost broke and then didn't. A workplace where two people stopped avoiding each other and actually figured it out.
Warmly, small, real, and it matters. Because the more people practice this kind of peace in their daily lives, the less room there is for hatred to take root.
And for us, what can we do? You listening, me here, Elina?
We can root out. That's our last phrase.
Root out.
Remove something completely, like pulling a weed out by the roots so it can't grow back.
We can root out prejudice from our language, from our jokes, from the things we say when we think no one's listening.
We can refuse to share content that strips people of their humanity. We can refuse to laugh along when someone dehumanizes a group. We can refuse to let hatred sound normal in our circles.
And at the same time, we can spread something different: curiosity, empathy, the willingness to say, I might be wrong about this.
We can disagree without becoming hostile. We can care deeply without fueling the fire.
And if enough ordinary people make that choice, even quietly, even imperfectly, the world won't suddenly become perfect, but it won't become completely dark either.
Every time we choose peace, even in a tiny moment, we're saying to someone, somewhere, your life has value, your safety matters. You are a person, not a symbol, not an enemy, not collateral damage.
And maybe that's where it starts, not with a historic peace treaty, not with a grand gesture, but with one person deciding not to add more hatred to the world, today, right now.
Okay, let's do our word tour. These are all the key words and phrases from today. Go through them slowly, repeat after us, and try to use at least one of them this week.
Ready? Here we go. Hostility.
Definition: open anger and aggression towards someone, not just a disagreement, but a desire to attack.
Example 1. There's a lot of hostility in online spaces whenever someone brings up politics.
Example 2. Responding with hostility almost always makes an argument worse, not better.
Prejudice.
Definition: forming a negative opinion about someone before actually knowing them, based on their group, religion, or background.
Example 1. Prejudice often comes from fear, not from real experience.
Example 2. Teaching children to question prejudice rather than just copy it is one of the most important things we can do.
Intolerance.
Definition: refusing to accept that other people can live, believe, or think differently from you.
Example 1. Social media can increase intolerance because people end up only seeing opinions they already agree with.
Example 2. Intolerance left unchallenged can damage families, communities, and entire societies.
Oppression.
Definition: cruel and unjust treatment, usually by those who hold power, against people who have less of it. No voice, no rights, constant fear.
And again, civilians carry that weight, not the decision makers, real people, families, whole communities.
And when fear and humiliation go on long enough, that's also how radicalization happens. People start believing extreme ideas are the only answer left, that violence is the only language that works.
And that's extremism, when beliefs become so absolute, so rigid, that there's no room for balance, for listening, for basic human decency.
Extremism promises simple answers. It's all their fault. Get rid of them and everything's fixed. But the world has never, not once, been that simple.
Next word is reconciliation.
Definition: the slow, deliberate process of rebuilding trust and peace after conflict or deep hurt.
Example 1. True reconciliation takes time. People need to feel genuinely heard and safe before healing can begin.
Example 2. Sometimes reconciliation starts with just 3 words. I am listening.
Next word is fuel the fire.
Definition: to make a bad situation worse, like literally throwing more wood onto a fire that's already burning.
Example 1. Sharing unverified, emotionally charged content online almost always fuels the fire.
Example 2. When 2 people are already angry, sarcasm usually fuels the fire instead of calming things down.
Next word is turn a blind eye.
Definition: pretending you don't see something wrong because it's more comfortable to ignore it.
Example 1. If we turn a blind eye to prejudice, we're quietly allowing it to continue.
Example 2. Many people turned a blind eye to the injustice until it started affecting people they loved.
Next word is root out.
Definition: remove something completely, like pulling a weed out by the roots so it can't grow back.
Example 1. If we want lasting peace, we have to root out hate from our everyday language and habits.
Example 2. Teachers can help root out prejudice by encouraging children to ask questions and think critically.
10 words and phrases, and every single one of them gives you the vocabulary to talk about the things that matter most.
And remember, you don't have to memorize all of this today. Come back, listen again, let it sink in. The second listen is always better.
All right, let's bring it home. What did we actually talk about today?
We talked about what peace really means, not just the poster version, but the daily, practical kind that lives in our choices.
We talked about the hard truth that war, at any scale, has never been a real solution. Not in human history, not once. The cost is always paid by ordinary people who had no say in the decision.
We traced how conflict grows from prejudice to intolerance to hostility to oppression, and how each step could have been interrupted.
And we talked about how peace grows too, through reconciliation, through empathy, through the small, brave choices we make every single day.
So here's something to sit with tonight. Ask yourself, did my words today, in person, online, wherever, make the world a little softer or a little harder?
Gently. And if the answer is harder, hey, tomorrow's a new day. You can always start again.
Always.
If today's episode meant something to you, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with one person who could use a little calm and a little hope today.
And in the comments, we'd love for you to finish this sentence. Today, I choose peace by just one line. It doesn't have to be big or profound, just real.
Genuinely.